why Finland dropped in PISA rankings, and why it still leads in equity. Finland once topped every global education chart. So why has it dropped in a recent PISA rankings? And does that mean its model is failing? Not quite. What's actually happening might surprise you. For years, Finland was the gold standard in global education. Its students ranked at or near the top in reading, math, and science, drawing worldwide attention. PISA, the Program for International Student Assessment, tests 15-year-olds in over 80 countries on real-world skills in reading, math, and science. But in the last decade, Finland's scores have slipped, especially in math. In 2022, Finnish students still outperformed the OECD average in reading and science, but their scores were lower than in any previous assessment, confirming a decline that began years ago. So, what's behind this trend? 3 reasons for Finland's drop. First, societal shifts. In the last 2 decades, one factor has changed student learning more than any textbook or curriculum: technology. In Finland, just like in the United States and other developed nations, students are spending more time on screens than ever before. The rise of smartphones, social media, and gaming has reshaped how kids think, focus, and even interact with school material. A Finnish study published in 2023 by the Finnish Institute for Health and Welfare found that nearly 1 in 3 teenagers use screens more than 5 hours per day outside schoolwork. This level of digital exposure has been linked to shorter attention spans, disrupted sleep patterns, and lower overall academic engagement. And Finland isn't alone. According to OECD's 2022 PISA results, screen time has sharply increased across almost all high-performing countries, including South Korea, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Researchers now believe that part of the global decline in math and reading performance may be tied to these digital shifts in lifestyle. So while Finland's PISA rankings have dipped, the reason isn't necessarily about schools. It's about a global transformation in how students live and learn. And it's a challenge that no country is immune to. Second, migration and inclusion challenges. Another key reason for Finland's drop in PISA rankings isn't about failure, it's about change. Over the past few decades, Finland has become significantly more diverse. Since the 1990s, the number of students with an immigrant background has more than quadrupled, now making up over 15% of the school-age population, according to Statistics Finland. With this growth comes opportunity, but also a challenge. Many of these students arrive needing support in Finnish or Swedish as a second language, and some have experienced trauma or interrupted schooling. While Finland's education model emphasizes equity and inclusion, integrating new arrivals is complex. Students may take several years to reach academic fluency, and during that time, their test performance, especially on standardized assessments like PISA, can impact national averages. But here's what matters. Finland still ensures that every child, regardless of background, has access to free education, school meals, mental health support, and inclusive instruction. That commitment to equity doesn't always boost scores, but it does build something deeper, a fairer, more humane system. In fact, many education experts view Finland's slight decline in test scores not as failure, but as proof that it's welcoming more students from all walks of life and working to serve them without segregating or tracking them out of mainstream classrooms. 3. Stability versus innovation. Unlike many other countries that have aggressively retooled their education systems to climb the PISA rankings, Finland has chosen a different path: stability. Since its rise to international prominence in the early 2000s, Finland's model has stayed largely the same. focused on teacher autonomy, student well-being, minimal standardized testing, and trust in public education. And to be clear, this isn't a weakness. Finland's consistency reflects a deep commitment to its core values: equity, professionalism, and whole child development. But while Finland has stood still, others have sprinted. Countries like Estonia, Singapore, and Poland have adapted quickly, revising curricula, investing in digital learning, and tailoring instruction to PISA-style assessments. The result? They've leapfrogged ahead in some subjects, particularly in math and science. Meanwhile, Finland hasn't prioritized teaching to the test. Instead, its reforms have been incremental and focused more on preserving teacher trust than chasing scores. That may explain part of its relative decline. Not because it's worse, but because it hasn't been as reactive to test-based innovation. As education expert Pasi Zollberg puts it, Finland's problem is not decline, it's stagnation. Other countries have simply moved faster. So while Finland may not lead in rapid innovation, it still holds fast to a philosophy that values learning over ranking and purpose over performance. Finland still has a secret or not so secret advantage. While some countries may outperform Finland in test scores, few come close to matching its focus on student well-being and mental health. A core reason why Finnish schools are still considered world-class. In Finland, the school day is designed to protect a child's mental space. There are frequent breaks, light homework loads, no high-stakes standardized tests, and a deeply embedded belief that children should have time to play, socialize, and rest. According to the Finnish National Agency for Education, all students, regardless of background, have access to free meals, school nurses, psychologists, and social workers. Every school is legally required to provide these supports as part of its basic service. Compare this to countries like the United States or South Korea, where academic anxiety, competition, and burnout are on the rise. A 2022 UNICEF report ranked Finland among the top 5 countries globally for child well-being, citing its education system as a major contributor. And here's the surprising part. In countries that score higher than Finland in math, like Singapore or South Korea, students often report much higher levels of test-related stress and even lower satisfaction with school life. So yes, Finland's scores may have dipped slightly, but the system still leads in protecting what really matters: the mental health, emotional growth, and long-term well-being of its students. It's easy to get caught up in test scores, rankings, and international comparisons. We all want our children to succeed, and numbers feel like proof that they're on the right track. But what if success isn't about being first on a spreadsheet, and instead about creating a system where every child has a fair chance, not just the ones who can afford private tutors or test prep programs? That's the quiet power of Finland's education system. Even as other countries race ahead in PISA rankings, Finland has stayed committed to something deeper: free education from preschool through university. No tracking or streaming of students by ability. Universal access to school meals, mental health care, and personalized support. And most importantly, a culture that trusts teachers and protects childhood. As OECD data shows, Finland consistently ranks among the top countries for educational equity, meaning that a student's background doesn't define their future. That's not just good education, that's justice. So maybe it's time we ask a better question. Not who's on top, but rather who's doing what's right. If you're ready to bring some of Finland's wisdom into your own classroom or home, we've created a free resource just for you. 5 Finnish equity practices you can use today. And if this message resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who believes education should be fair, not fierce.